Dr. Doug Graham here. I'm offering a webinar. If you're in the right place, you're hoping to come to Banana Island, find out about the emotional side of 80-10-10, the soft, cuddly, touchy-feely side, not the hard science. Everything is based on hard science, and everything makes good sense. But we've got a feel as well. Tonight, we'll talk to you about Banana Island, the emotions associated with it, and ways to handle those emotions. I first went to Banana Island more than 30 years ago as I was trying my best to resolve some digestive issues, and I couldn't figure out what was going on, and I started eliminating foods and finally just said, you know what, let me just go down to one food and then I can build back up from there. And I spent a few days eating bananas. Lots of good things happened. Lots of eye-opening things happened. And I eventually had my experiences on Mango Island, Watermelon Island, Lychee Island, and a few others that were, each and every one, really a joy. I learned to cater and customize Banana Island experiences for a wide variety of health and personal needs for various clients. And insights kept coming. And eventually, enough people heard me talking about Banana Island that other people started going there on their own, even though they didn't really know what it was. They made their own versions, and some of them very successfully, and some of them not so much. I found the same to be true with the 80-10-10 diet. That many people have told me they're on the 80-10-10 diet, but when they write to me and show me what they're actually eating, or when they come to me and tell me what they're actually eating, I go, you're really not on the 80-10-10 diet. So sometimes having someone show you face to face exactly how they do it will help you when you want to do it. There's a lot of reasons to come to Banana Island, and I don't know all of your reasons. So let's begin there. I'd like to ask you why you're here. And as a result of learning why you're here, I will create this seminar to be just customized, better meeting your specific needs. So we'll just ask the one question. You'll see a short poll come up, and if you'll just answer the poll, we really appreciate it. Tell us why you're here, and a little while through the webinar, I'll even let you know what everybody else said, what their reasons were, and hopefully that'll be insightful to you too. So there are actually many ways to handle your emotions, to pretend they don't happen, to deal with them, to pass them on, to whatever these different, there's lots of ways, and there's lots of different programs out there teaching you different things as the way. I question a lot of what's out there in that regard. I think the classic thing is that some people say that they rise above their emotions. You know, I don't do anger, or I don't do upset, or, you know, they just pretend that nothing flusters them. They literally live in denial of their emotions. I think it's probably appropriate that this picture is a man, but many of us live in denial of our emotions for various reasons. And and you literally experience ignorance. I mean, it's like closing your eyes so that you can't see what's going on, closing yourself off to your own emotions, to your own sensations of. I mean, your emotions tell you a lot, and you want to know. It's funny. It's funny. A lot of kids, you'll see teenagers and people in their 20s and 30s very often spend a lot of their time trying to dull their emotions, dull their awareness, dull their experience of life by drinking or smoking or doing drugs or eating foods that literally numb you, taking drugs especially to numb you. And and often these same people spend the next half of their life doing everything they can to heighten their awareness of what's going on and to heighten their sensations and to gain and hold on to their intellectual and emotional abilities because they see them draining away. Uh, Personally, I think we were misguided when we try to dull and numb ourselves to our own emotions. And denial of our emotions. The emotions are going to happen. There's no way to deny them. There's just ways to become unaware of them. One of the classics that you see happen all the time, all around you, is when people pass their emotions from one person to the next. They blame other things. And so you'll see somebody who's running late and then has a bicker or short words with their spouse or loved ones, and then gets to work and the boss gives them a really stressful day, or they have a hard time in some way, and then they get more bad news, the stresses are building up, and eventually they're ready to just explode. And so what do? They kick the car, they kick the dog. I mean, this is common enough that kick the dog is in our vernacular. It's part of our common language, meaning somebody else gave you a problem and you kicked the dog because you couldn't kick the person. And we do this with a lot of emotions where you're being stressed, and then the phone rings and you pick it up and you go, what? And it's just, that's not it. We want to be aware of our own emotions, and you don't deal with your emotions by giving them to someone else. When you hit your pillow or you kick the dog, you're not actually dealing with, you're not actually experiencing, you're not embracing your own emotions. You're passing them off to something else. And this is neither adult nor growing for yourself. It certainly isn't a centered experience. It's totally external. You could feel. Now there's a concept worthy of consideration. You could accept, recognize, experience all that's going on around you. Embrace, become one with, love. We can feel what's happening. We can face it head on, say, this is what anger feels like. This is what frustration feels like. This is a good feeling. This is a one I don't want to have very long. Oh, now I feel insecure. Oh, now I feel. And when you feel and are aware of what you feel, you can totally change the way you act, react to what's going on around you. Otherwise, you're like wearing a sack over your head and trying to go through a maze. You're going to keep bumping into things that make it even more frustrating, repeating the same errors. A lot of people are just plain afraid to feel their emotions. They think, oh, this is going to be really bad. Oh, this is going to break me. Oh, this is going to put me over the edge. It won't. Nature doesn't throw things at us that we can't handle until the end. But nature doesn't throw things at us that we can't handle. But what we do get is lessons. We do get growth opportunities. We do get the chance to live and learn, and then figure out from the experience, from the emotions, from going through it, how to better deal with it. We learn our lesson. Then comes another lesson. The emotions keep coming, but emotions mostly are incredibly short-lived. They flash and are gone. It's time for the next emotion, and the next, and the next, and the next, and the next. They come that quickly. If you miss them, you've missed it forever. You can't get that one back. It's gone. You might experience one similar in future, but really you don't want to miss any of what's going on with your own body, mind, spirit, and everything else that allows you to experience emotions. Big, scary emotions invariably turn out to be paper tigers. Feel them, and then know that it'll be gone. Otherwise, it can stay with you and stay with you and stay with you. You can lock it up in a memory and feel your emotion locked in with a memory. And every time you have that memory, you have that emotion again. A lot of people go, oh, I can't do this because it makes me think of this, and then I feel bad, and then I get all choked up, and then I lose my appetite, and then I have diarrhea, and then and we go, wait a minute. Remembering is part of learning. Otherwise, you make the same mistakes over and over. We want to remember. We just don't want to experience the same emotions that we felt when we went through an experience. Feel it the first time around, and it'll be gone. You can get on to the next emotion. Otherwise, you can lock into every time I think about that, I get a headache. Every time I think about that, my chest hurts. Every time I think about that, oh, I feel it in the pit of my stomach. When you remember stuff, it should just be no body experience. You just remember. When you feel, that's an emotional thing. You want to be in the present with your emotions. Here, now. If you're in a past emotion or a future emotion, well, the past emotions, you're never free. They're locked in, they keep coming back to you. Future emotions, you go into some overload mode. We don't want that either. We want to be here now, experiencing the present emotion. Have that one at a time is enough. We want to teach you to fully experience an emotional life, how to feel, and how wonderfully freeing that really is. We want to feel so much that you can be in the now all the time. This is a huge challenge. People spend their entire lifetime attempting to learn how to be in the now. One way to really get into the now is to be free from addictions, negative influences, obsessions, cravings. We want to get free of our addictions, because if all you're thinking about is your addiction to this, that, or the next, it's going to affect your future. It's going to affect your decisions. And it's going to affect your decisions about the future. Oh, well, I better not go there because then I won't be able to get something else that I need to have. Well, addictions affect your future decisions because let's take something simple. Most people are willing to experiment with breakfast. They're willing to take breakfast and do almost anything with it. Have a really simple one, have a big complex one, have the same one every day, have some program or another, try just fruit, try just about whatever. And people don't feel too threatened about changing around their breakfast. Many people are willing, especially if the conditions allow, to try things with their lunch. But most people have trouble when it comes to dinner. They've gotten used to dinner being a specific kind of an experience that they want to have. There's some excitement in the dinner. There's some sizzle in the dinner. There's some stimulation in the dinner. There's some variety in the dinner. There's all sorts of things that make dinner exhilarating. And if I ask you, are you willing to eat bananas for breakfast today? Most people will say sure. And if I ask you, are you willing to eat bananas for breakfast today and tomorrow and for the rest of the week, but just for the week? Most people will say sure. If I ask you the same questions about lunch, most people will say, well, if it's only for a week, sure. But if I ask you about dinner tonight, what are you having for dinner tonight? Would you be happy to just have bananas? Only bananas, nothing but bananas, just bananas. It's plain bananas. It's only going to be bananas. Are you willing to have bananas for dinner tonight? Most people go, I really wanted to have my salad. I really wanted to have my dressing. I really wanted to have some soup. I was hoping for a drink before dinner or maybe a dessert after. Just bananas sounds a little boring. We actually get addicted to the stimulation that comes with eating variety. And we can all feel it and we can all sense it. All we have to do is just think about tonight or tomorrow's dinner and say, would I be satisfied if I had an all-you-care-to-eat dinner of nothing but bananas? If the answer is yeah, I would, no, that wouldn't do it for me, then you probably need to do it. You probably need to know how satisfying and how satiating, how good it feels to be filled up with health food, to feel the satiation of a meal of bananas. At Banana Island, we open up the world of food quite a bit more than bananas. You'll be surprised. But bananas are our mainstay. Bananas are our breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But we offer other things. We're not going to put you on a Banana Island experience of just bananas, only bananas, nothing but bananas. No. We make it really a pleasure, but it's still Banana Island. I want you to think, why would you want to visit Banana Island? Do you want to come because it's going to help you with your emotional eating? You want to put some negative habits into the past? Do you want to rid yourself of harmful food addictions, cravings, and negative experiences revolving around food? Would you like to regain the sense of taste that you had as a child, when everything tastes good, everything tastes rich, and everything was full of flavor? Do you want to rejuvenate your taste buds while simplifying your diet and experiencing greater levels of energy than you've ever known? How's your digestion? Would you like to see your digestive system make peace with your food? Get it to a point where it's working perfectly, and then reestablish more complex eating habits but continue to have excellent digestion? Or is it just all about you? Is it psychological? Is it physical? Is it emotional? Is it spiritual? Are you experiencing a state of dis-ease, discomfort, unhappy relationships with yourself, your food, your family, or something that you want to? I'm no psychoanalyst, not going to fix you, but I can show you and give you the tools so that you can allow your body, mind, and spirit to heal forever. Before we go on, Kevin, are you with us? I'd love to take a look and find out the results of the poll.
Hello, Dr. Graham. I am here. And the results of the poll, we had 46% of the attendees say that confronting and conquering emotional eating habits is the main reason they want to visit Banana Island. And what came in second with 23% was emotional, psychological, and physical disease. Wanting to experience greater levels of energy came in with 15%.
Okay, so we're spot on here. I mean, the emotional side of 80-10-10, come to Banana Island. I mean, this is why we're here, and this is what we're going to talk about. The things you can expect to happen if you decide to come to Banana Island. And I'll tell you right up front, I've reserved enough space at Banana Island this year so that if we have to run a second one, we will. I can do that. And I'm happy to do that, because when I see people at Banana Island having the best time of their life, the most valuable experiences that they've ever had at a retreat or in any other place, it thrills me no end. Your digestive system will get a rest as we simplify the foods that we eat, and your body focuses in on doing the same thing repetitively. It always gets better at doing whatever you ask. So by eating simply, your body will get really good at digesting food, and especially the food you give it. When you introduce other foods, it will continue to do a great job for you. Taste buds heighten beyond anything you can remember. You taste so many different aspects of a food that most people didn't even know were there. Of course, your relationship with your food changes, and that's a key element. It's something we talk about every day, as well as your relationship with yourself. We'll give you new recipes, at least 20 new ways to serve bananas that I'm sure you will enjoy and use when you go home. Lots of recipes. Everybody wants recipes, it seems, and we're happy to share them. I mean, I know 100 different ways to serve bananas, and we'll show you 20. Every day, we immerse you in the 80-10-10 lifestyle in a comfortable, supportive, friendly, family way, a way that leaves you feeling happy, healthy, safe, secure, accepted, and supported. We'll go for gentle exercise that everyone can do at their own pace. I'll challenge you a little bit for those who wish to be challenged, and for those who don't, no worries. We don't have to be challenged. Everything at Banana Island is an optional experience. You will benefit just from having the freedom to make your own choices. You'll learn how your emotions drive your eating patterns, and then what you can do about it in order to develop healthy eating choices. You know for sure Banana Island is for you. If you're struggling with your emotional eating, or disordered eating, or overeating, or undereating, if you want to learn how to succeed with 80-10-10, using our tried and proven immersion family technique. We have lots of helpers who are doing great with 80-10-10, staff and support crew, who'll be there so that every guest has at least several people that they can rely on to help them improve and learn how to succeed with 80-10-10. If it's time to regain some energy, get a rest for yourself and your digestive system. If you want to feel completely rejuvenated, come to Banana Island. And if you want to heal the old wounds, physical and emotional, and truly create a healthy relationship with food, Banana Island's for you. This is the place. It's easy. It's so easy, and it works for everyone, every time. Our event runs at a retreat center called Cedar Springs in Sedro-Woolley, Washington. It is magnificent, scenic, gorgeous, comfortable, 5-star. So, I don't want to say homey, but you can tell that a lot of thought has gone in to every step of creating this ultra modern, ultra comfortable facility. It's set in an absolutely pristine, brilliant, idyllic environment, ringed by mountains in the Skagit Valley, north of Seattle, just a few miles inland off the Pacific coast. Every day is gorgeous. It's the time of year that offers the best weather seen in Washington. The grounds are quite extensive, and there's public lands all around us for hiking. We can go on walks where we cross the river. We can go on walks where we swim in the river. The water's plenty warm at this time of year to enjoy the water. The mist comes in the early morning, and every day the sunsets are amazing. There's nature all around us. Eagles, elk, coyotes. We hear it, we see it. The salmon are running upstream in our own backyard. There's walking trails on the property. We never have to leave the premises. We built a new building this year just so that if the weather's bad, we have multiple facilities in order to house classes and private sessions. Of course, your comfort is important to us, and so we make sure that our living areas and our sleeping areas are just as cozy and clean as you could ever want them to be. I mean, what would Banana Island be if we weren't talking about the food? I mean, the food is the thing, right? And it turns out, it's sort of funny because people think, oh, well, you're going to Banana Island, you're not going to talk about food. I mean, what is it? It's just bananas, and there's like, you've made food unimportant. Actually, no, we've made food so important that we don't have to talk about it much. And even then, we will. But you don't have to think about it much. And even then, you probably will. But we know what's for breakfast. Bananas. We know what's for lunch. Bananas. We know what's for dinner. Even more bananas. And most people would say, oh, I know I'm going to get sick of bananas. And then they're surprised to find out that they never do. Every day, every meal, we look forward to having more bananas, and we're happy to have them, and the sense of satiation that comes with it. Whether it's porridge in the morning, or a banana burrito for lunch. We create, oh, that's just bananas wrapped in bananas. Wrapped in a lettuce leaf, if you like. Maybe you'd like to have banana pot pie. Ice cream's always a favorite, with multiple sauces. Oh, it's even better. And a stick of celery? My goodness, my bananas crunch? Yay! Our creativity is unlimited. And even with just bananas, we can go on and on creating options for you to enjoy. There's lots of food to be had, and will help you whether you wish to gain weight, lose weight, stay the same weight. That's not an issue. We'll create custom programs to help you get where you're trying to go. So what's it really like? What's a day on Banana Island all about? We don't start crazy early. We want you to be well rested. Mental sanity depends on being well rested. Breakfast is at 8. If you want to work out before that, you can. I usually do. But you don't have to. We'll go for a walk every morning and usually play some games along the way, and maybe even rise to a few challenges, if you wish. We may break up into a few groups so that everyone has a customized experience that allows them to be met at their fitness level. After a short break, we'll have some lunch, and we're ready to get into it's sort of funny. We'll talk about it. Most people call this portion of the program the meat and potatoes. Well, isn't that sort of a funny expression? How did that come to be? We're going to talk about how does our vocabulary affect our psyche. But we'll talk mostly about our relationships with ourself. Do you love yourself? Do you support yourself? Do you provide healthy conditions for yourself? Do you make life good for yourself? If you don't, we need to understand why and how to make it happen so that you can guide your experience of life. You're the captain of that ship, and we want to look at the different ways that you can relate to yourself healthfully so that you can build and accumulate the health that you so deserve. We'll have a break for dinner. It's always a fun time. We get together, share our experiences, share our sense of gratitude with each other, that we get to eat, that it's a beautiful day, that we feel so good, and all of the interpersonal things that happen each and every day. In the evenings, we'll have more talks about relationships with food, family, and friends, and how you can heighten your experience in order to be the person you wish to be and the leader that affects others in the way that you hope to. Because we all care about our loved ones, and we all want the best for our loved ones. And we often find it easier to tell them what to do than to do it ourselves. So we're going to look at that and grow into becoming a responsible person who takes care of their own health in order to bring about the consequences that we really want to have happen to us. People say, oh, you know, you go on Banana Island, you're going to lose weight, or you're going to gain weight. Either way, they tell me that it's bad. And in fact, Most people come to Banana Island, they hope to lose weight, and we show them how to do it. Very few come to gain, but if you wish, we'll show you how to do it. Commonly, people lose weight on Banana Island, though. That's just a common experience, whether they try to or not. The people who think they're going to dread Banana Island, but they just have to be there, typically find out that they love bananas and that they love the Banana Island experience. And that there's so many things to be done with a banana. It can be presented in so many ways. You can have it your favorite way every time if you want. Or we'll show you all the other ways and encourage you to learn about those and find out that they all become your favorites too. I'm often asked, if I have a sugar metabolic problem, can I come to Banana Island? And the answer is yes. We've had many diabetics come to Banana Island. We've had many diabetics get off their insulin while on Banana Island. If you have hypoglycemia or hyperglycemia or diabetic tendencies, or even if you're a type 1 diabetic, you can still come to Banana Island, and we'll show you the program and how to monitor so that things work idyllic, the best for you. And you're going to go home with goodies. You're going to go home with a newfound love and appreciation for bananas and all the ways that they can be good to you. We'll give you at least 20 new recipes and probably more than that. You gain an understanding of the importance of greens and how they balance the richness of bananas so well. We're going to give you a program for regaining control over your eating decisions, your choices, and get you free from addictions and habits so that you can work out of preference for the rest of your life. You take it home with you. You can eat out of preference rather than being driven. And of course, you go home with a healthier and happier way of relating to yourself and others. What more could you ask? Banana Island, well, most people put it off. Many people say, I'll come next year. In my entire life, 30 years of offering retreats, no one who has ever told me, I'll come next year, has ever made it. The people that come this year, or they don't come. If your interest is there, make the decision to improve yourself. A quantum leap in health. Attend the highest quality raw food events of the year. Food and Sport 80-10-10 retreats. And it will change your life in ways you never imagined possible. Find a way to make it happen. Let us help you find a way. We can offer payment plans. Just come. I promise you won't regret it.
Dr. Graham, you ready for the first question?
I am.
From Nicola. Dr. Graham, how can I battle my food cravings and psychological demons at Banana Island? I can see myself getting very grumpy and unsocial. I am eating raw, but it's early days. It's early on in the day. Dinner is when my mind goes crazy for other foods, and I feel weak and often crumble. I dream about eating junk food. How will Banana Island, how can she be sure that it'll be a solution for her?
Cravings get stronger when they're reinforced. They turn into habits, and they get stronger when they're reinforced. They turn into addictions, and they get stronger when they're reinforced. The way to break a habit is to get away from it. The easiest way to do it is to break it all right away in one, as it's called, cold turkey. In Banana Island, in a supportive environment where you're doing the same thing as everybody else, and everyone wants to help you and see you succeed, and you're eating the same food as everybody else, and it's the only food around. It's easy. We watch people put old food habits behind them and replace them with new food preferences. We're not going with, if you had to replace some habit with nothing, that would be tough, I agree. But we're going to replace it with something better. If you had to replace your junky old car with a brand new car that was way better in every way, would it be hard to give up the old one? No. When you gain a relationship that's better than your old relationship, whether it's with people, places, or things, or yourself, it's easier to stay with the new relationship than it is to stay with the old one. And the old one just stops calling your name when you have something better. We're going to give you something better at Banana Island, something much better, and we'll support you. And if you go through a day or two of feeling a little cranky, well, you won't be the only one. But you're only cranky if you're thinking about the candy that you used to want, whatever that stuff was. But the stuff that you're giving up. We're not giving up stuff. We're going towards new, better stuff. And when we replace junk with quality, nobody wants to go back to the junk. Nobody. It's just a matter of taking the first step and the next step. And we'll do that for you and with you at Banana Island.
Thank you, Dr. Graham. I know from my own personal experience, yeah, breaking habits is very useful to go to a different location and be separated and have a spot that's supportive to nurture a new habit and then go home with it. It's much easier than doing it at home for myself.
Absolutely.
We have a question coming from Basil. What varieties of bananas will be served at the retreat?
That's a great question. And the answer is I don't know. We're going to serve what we can access. Now, we're a tiny bit limited because we're committed at all of the Cedro Woolley events to serving organic food only. We order from organic food suppliers and offer a 100% organic meal plan. So sometimes, although you could get more variety, perhaps, we can't always get it organic. But we usually do see at least several varieties. We usually see Jamaican Reds. We usually see some plantains. And sometimes we see some Java Blue. But I won't know until this year what will be available for us. My experience has been that our suppliers are growing and improving what they offer, so the variety is increasing. And I'm hopeful we'll see even other varieties. It's not like going to a banana farm. I've got friends that grow 75 varieties of bananas, and I've tried them all. Some I really like, and some I don't care for all that much. But when it comes down to it, having a banana beats not having a banana.
All right. And the next question comes from Ramona. People say that eating lots of fruit makes you fat. I'm always on a diet to maintain my weight, and I do a lot of sport. Can I eat as much fruits as I want?
You want my permission to eat as much fruit as you want? I give you permission to eat as much fruit as you want. Sure, you want to eat enough fruit so that you don't have any cravings. You want to eat enough fruit so that you're satisfied at the end of the meal all the way until the next meal. You want to eat enough fruit so that you're never drawn towards eating starchy food. You want to eat enough fruit so that you're not looking around for dessert at the end of a meal, or for sweets of any kind, chocolate, candy, alcohol, dried fruit even, in between meals. You want to eat until you're satiated. You want to eat enough fruit so that you're not craving something heavy right after the meal ends. But you don't want to eat so much fruit that you hurt after the meal. And so when you say, can I have all the fruit I want? Well, if you want enough fruit, or to eat enough fruit until it leaves you unable to digest that quantity of fruit, it leaves you with digestive problems, or hurting, or knocking yourself to sleep, well, in that case, no, you'd have to limit it a little bit. Eat a bite or two less, maybe a piece of fruit less than the maximum. It's not an idea to eat as much as you can, but really as much as you want, as much as you care for. Yes, most people find that they lose weight at Banana Island, whether they try to or not. But we'll show you how to if you wish to. And the lovely thing about fruit is it is so satiating that most people find it really hard to overeat on fruit. They have to work at it. It has to be an intentional thing. But certainly, for most people, most of the time, the answer is yes. Specific health questions here at the webinar? No, I can't do that. I don't know you. But for most people, most of the time, the generic answer is yes, you can eat all the fruit you care for. And certainly at Banana Island, all the fruit you care for, and lose weight.
Thank you for the response. The next question comes from Sandra. And will I really be able to understand and manage correctly the 80-10-10 diet with the Banana Island retreat? Right now,
Absolutely.
okay.
Go ahead. No, go
Further,
ahead.
she says that she's right now not sure that she's eating all the nutrients that her body needs, and she usually finds herself craving cooked food.
We'll definitely cover nutrition. We'll definitely cover the cooked food issue. We'll definitely cover how to do 80-10-10 successfully. But it is a Banana Island retreat, so we have a lot of other things to cover as well. The loveliness about Banana Island is that the event is full with 16 guests. 16 guests and about 8 staff makes for a very good situation for the guests. A lot of personal care and attention. We all sit down and have dinner together, breakfast, lunch, and dinner together. There's so much time for individual customizing, hand-holding, listening, meeting, sitting and talking. The schedule isn't pushed. It's full, but it isn't pushed. There's time for everybody's individual needs and to make sure that everybody gets those needs met, addressed, and taken care of while you're at Banana Island.
And I believe our last question comes from Johnny. Have you ever had experience with this variety of Dole bananas from grocery stores that when it ripens, it has large spots and gets really mushy and is quite tasteless, in his opinion? His local grocery store has only this organic variety, so he feels compelled to get conventional bananas. Do you have any possible solutions for this?
Okay, ripening bananas is a bit of an art form, and depending on how they're packaged, your bananas may or may not ripen the way you wish for them to. You will find that at certain times of year, bananas either don't ripen the way you would like, or don't taste or exactly have the texture that you would want. Bananas do vary a bit through the year. The temperature at which they're shipped, the temperature at which they ripen, the temperature in which they grew. Everything affects the bananas. They're not cookie cutter the same. I recommend getting your bananas out of plastic as quickly as possible. Even in the ripening bags, when bananas are bagged into smaller bunches, even the banana bags, they're going to affect the banana in a way that usually isn't good for flavor or texture, which is what I think you're asking. And so, for instance, you might see bananas, 6 or 8 bananas in a bag, and that bag will prevent the bananas from spotting, but not from ripening inside the skin. And so you see them not changing color all that much, but just going a terrible mushy softness without gaining the flavor that you really want to have from a banana. So obviously, we're going to Banana Island. We're going to teach you how to ripen your bananas properly, how to care for them when you buy your case of bananas, what to do with them, and how to get them to ripen as quickly or as slowly as you wish them to.
Thank you, Dr. Graham. And there was one last question that came in from Ramona. She's wondering if there's any possibility of organizing a banana island in Europe.
Sure. Contact me, Ramona, and we'll talk about it.
All right. I'll pass it.
You know, if you're interested in organizing a banana island, I'm happy to run it.
Thank you, Dr. Graham. I believe that's all the questions for today.
That was great fun. I look forward to seeing you at Banana Island.